Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian. Thanks for staying with us. Centerville MP Reese Chipman resigned from the Free National Movement Party, Chipman contending that he can better serve his constituents independently. Our Ariel Bowleg has more.
10 a.m. today, the Centerville MP sent his letter of resignation to the Free National Movement chairman and House Speaker. Since leaving the Public Accounts Committee in January, he said he was having thoughts of leaving but wanted to give the party an opportunity and see if its direction would benefit the people. However, it was the partisan politics that pushed him to move, along with other issues.
There is a huge disconnect between the Parliament and the people. And I am no longer able to sit back and allow that to happen. I am not prepared to sit back and watch a parliament not follow the very laws they enact, but yet dream of a lawful society and a lawful culture. It continues to baffle me. The fact that people would have presented petitions, written petitions, signed petitions to the House of Assembly that went unanswered. A ruling of the House with regards to the Public Accounts Committee that has yet to be fortified. Standard committees of the House of Assembly go without report to the House. Bills being passed without accompanying regulations and a lack of policy.
Chipman cited he made calls to the Prime Minister several times to address his concerns, but never got a response. Not to mention, he believed his sister Fontella Chipman roll outbursts in the House of Assembly put a wedge between him and his party. Despite the history of independent candidates, Chipman is confident he has enough support from his constituents and asked for offers from other parties.
So right now I'm not entertaining parties unless the parties commit themselves to changing their constitution to make the Bahamian people the beneficiaries of their party and the Bahamas. And so at this point, my independence is about partisan politics. I don't agree with it. I think their constitutions need changing. They don't even open up their constitution for debates. They pick candidates, and the people of the constituency don't even know who they picked. And that's not democracy to me. And so at this time, we will watch them. We will see if their constitutions line up with the beliefs of the Bahamian people. And if they do, we move forward with who is ready to move forward with that in that regard.
The opposition has shown support, with Chipman stating in a statement that they were not surprised by his resignation. Progressive Liberal Party leader admitted he saw Chipman's concerns and thought he was making genuine contributions and did not deserve the disrespect. At this time, Chipman couldn't say whether he would support the opposition's vote of no confidence nor the disaster management bill. He requested to the House Speaker to be reseated in accordance with parliamentary system and address his parliamentary colleagues for 5 minutes in the House. For JCN, I'm Ariel Bowleg.
Certainly not easy times, and that's in the case of hurricane survivors and the government, whose finances are admittedly strained. With a better understanding of how much so, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest yesterday told the House that early estimates point to a revenue shortfall of nearly $215 million, or 8% of the overall revenue projected for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. This in the face of the government having to spend $222.4 million, $80.9 million for recurrent spending, and the remaining $141.5 million for capital. The funds, said Deputy Prime Minister Turnquest, will primarily be used for rebuilding critical infrastructure, including electricity and water services in Grand Bahama and Abaco, the reconstruction of the affected medical facilities, the construction of the temporary housing, and the delivery of targeted government services and assistance to the affected communities. Now, according to the minister, given that the revised projected revenue will be somewhere around $2.4 billion and expenditure at $2.9 billion as a result of Hurricane Dorian, the fiscal deficit for the current fiscal year is likely to be nearly $573.4 million. That's an elevated 4.5% of GDP, exceeding the $137 million or 1% fiscal target prescribed by the Fiscal Responsibility Act. This in turn leaves the government to present a fiscal adjustment plan outlining 3 components: the reasons for the departure from the fiscal target, the measures the government intends to take to get back on track, and an estimate of how long it will take to do so. As required by the law, the government plans to provide such a plan to both the Parliament and the Fiscal Responsibility Council in November. Well, credit rating agency Standard & Poor's is certainly keeping a keen eye on what's happening here in the Bahamas, and based on what the Prime Minister shared with the House members, the outlook at this point is comforting. According to S&P, considering the timing and location of the hurricane's impact and the country's relatively strong economic and fiscal performance year to date, it is possible Dorian may not lead to meaningful deterioration in the Bahamas' economy, fiscal performance, debt burden, and external assessment.
Standard & Poor's Global Ratings Bulletin was released on the Bahamas on October 3rd, entitled Early Signs Suggest the Bahamas is well positioned to handle ongoing fallout from Hurricane Dorian. The report noted Standard & Poor's Global Ratings today said it continues to evaluate the short to medium-term credit effects, if any, of Hurricane Dorian on the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Preliminary information available to us suggests that the long-term effects of the hurricane on credit quality could be limited, provided that the government is able to respond in a timely manner to the various challenges posed by the natural disaster.
The Prime Minister sees this as proof that his administration's fiscal strategy stabilized public finances.
This strategy also gave the country fiscal breathing room following a series of downgrades and negative economic growth. The Fiscal Responsibility Act is an essential component of a sustainable fiscal regime. The natural disaster insurance strategy the government pursued has also made an enormous difference in terms of our credit wages and fiscal position. We will continue to show the political and policy commitment to fiscal responsibility.
S&P is expected to continue to follow the developments and pace of local recovery efforts. There are structures to be assessed, debris to be cleared, and utilities to be restored. But for the 75,000 people who experienced the insane fury of Hurricane Dorian 1 month in, and the mental scars still cut very deep, and they're not alone, having witnessed it all, the remainder of the population also said to be potentially at risk for post-traumatic stress disorder. As Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands bluntly puts it then, the mental health needs of Bahamians right now are great. Just take, for instance, what 3 certified child life specialists from the Child Life Disaster Relief Team has seen in 200 children at the Kendall G. L. Isaacs Gym, the Ranfley Home, and the Children's Emergency Hostel since arriving here last Friday.
When they play, there are recurring themes of destruction and rebuilding, aggression, and the need for deep connection and counseling, all of which are expected responses to trauma. The team has also recognized the need for adult interventions and has provided support and reflective listening for parents and staff members.
Health Minister Dr. Sands then calls for Bahamians to be empathetic, non-judgmental, supportive, and giving as we possibly can.
While we support the role of religious or pastoral care, we ask that the care that people need be primarily from trained health workers that have training in mental health or psychology or psychiatry, which is not to say that there's not a role for religious or pastoral care. There are some specialist qualifications that would improve the outcomes of individuals impacted by PTSD.
Meantime, officials are left to address some concerns coming out of the shelters. Now, while there are no reports of communicable diseases post-Dorian, the minister says they have had sporadic cases of gastroenteritis and scabies, 1 or 2 cases in the shelters. Meantime, the names of those still unaccounted for post-Hurricane Dorian to be published in the papers in hopes that anyone will come forward with information about where these people are. To date, the missing persons pegged at just over 1,200. That's 1,000 in Abaco and 205 in Grand Bahama. Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell giving that update in the House of Assembly, as well as the number of people who are registered in the storm's aftermath. That's 4,515. To date, 900 are still in shelters, several of which will be closed this week. This as the Seventh-day Adventist facility on Wolf Road, along with the Kendall G. Isaacs Gymnasium and Calvary Baptist Church, will continue to house evacuees. In terms of social service assistance, up to Wednesday, that count was at 1,800. The minister, who was contributing to the debate on the Disaster Preparedness and Response Bill, says Hurricane Dorian will only show Bahamians how strong they are. It's an opportunity, he said, to showcase our resilience to do some things better in the affected areas. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.